Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Personal Training Unlocked with Matt Mangol. My name is Josh Shernoff, and I am just along for the ride. I'm here to learn, just like the rest of you, all about personal training. Matt Mangol has the key. He's going to unlock it. Matt Mangol, how are you, sir?
Doing fantastic. It's great here in the driver's seat. It's good to have you there as a navigator. I'm glad we don't have those MapQuest notes, and you're kind of more locked into GPS, so we appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Was that GPS or UPS? I couldn't tell. It cut off.
Oh, UPS last week.
What? All right. So, hey, today, first of all, I just want to thank everybody who reached out with questions and comments. Matt has enjoyed interacting with you. Don't be afraid to contact me if you have any interest in talking about wrestling. Otherwise, no, but yeah, Matt, what's the feedback been on the show so far?
Been very positive. Had a number of people reach out, mentioning that, they had heard about electrolytes. They hear about it in the marketing on commercials, but they hadn't really had a chance to kind of dive into it themselves. So we kind of help parlay them into looking into more things for themselves. There was a couple that kind of inquired more specifically based upon their routines and their activity level throughout the week, trying to adapt a better lifestyle, especially, getting towards that time of year, the holidays and what have you.
Sure.
Trying to get things in gear. So we made some good suggestions of how to start. Look, we're not going to perfect things off the bat. That's not how we work. We're humans. So you guys start somewhere, right? Put something in place, set the foundation, and then build from there. So very positive, very good. And we actually had a comment from a current client of mine, who used to be local and has since COVID, we refound each other after she had moved away for 5 years. We hadn't worked together because she was adjusting and I was doing my thing. We reconnected over COVID virtual and been working together back ever since. So we worked together for almost 16 years together.
Wow.
Anyway, she listens to the podcast. So thank you very much. I got some feedback regarding the couple episodes ago. We talked about the gentleman who had the addictive personality and came in for the 5 a.m. leg workout.
Yes.
Post 7 Quest bars within a 2-hour span. So we had a little chuckle. She knew who it was. So anyway, you never know what this podcast is going to find or who it's going to find. But look, I don't. If you're hearing it this week and you're going to go dive back to other episodes, great. Ask questions from there. It doesn't have to be to the current episode. Like, look, we're here. Yeah. Ask questions at ptunlocked.com. At ptunlocked at gmail.com or at ptunlocked throughout socials. Ask questions, guys. I'm going to be trying to be better on. I had to dump a lot of things off my phone onto an external hard drive for storage purposes. So I'm going to start to be more active with pumping out some more stuff on Reels and such on Insta. So pay attention to that. We'll throw maybe a couple survey type things up there to what people want to hear. So we'll keep bolstering the community, and we'll do what you need us to do. So anyway.
So today, though, I think what we want to talk about is just kind of our own, I know we hate the term journey. Hate the term journey. But I think we all just, we all kind of go through our own things, right? We figure stuff out, trial and error. So Matt, yeah, let's start. What are we talking about today?
All right. So I'm going to give you a little, a bridge deep dive. We'll do a quick kind of catch you up to where I've been in fitness myself. Okay. Cause we didn't just start off like, knowing what I know now.
Right.
Plenty of bumps in the road and plenty of landing in ditches and climbing out. Just a quick abridged version. Went to Temple University, was getting a degree into fitness, worked out since high school. High school was more casually for baseball. People weren't really into working out for baseball back then. Go figure, late 90s. But anyway, more serious.
There was something else they could do to get bigger.
Well,
baseball.
Right. Yeah.
Mark McGuire was, yeah, there we are.
Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, look, they saved baseball. Look, asterisk.
They did.
Everyone, it is what
Everyone
it is.
wants a character. Everybody wants personality.
They saved baseball, but that's a story for another time. But the workout routine then, Josh, was having the metrics get a box of 20 of the packs of meal replacement powder.
Yep.
And one of those little fancy at the time, little push down gimmicks that would supposed to be a good a little blender, the battery operated blender, which worked terribly. So I'd be at Temple in between classes. Before I got trying to eat some extra protein. I'm got to bulk up. I got to bulk up. Being 210 pounds of not all the quality weight from all the food wasn't big enough. We had to get. I want to get to 220. Why? Who knows? So anyway, we're there in between classes, and I'm trying to grind away at this meal replacement bar versus whey protein, or meal replacement powder versus whey protein. It doesn't mix as well. So you end up with all this cake battery stuff, and you're just chewing it down. Okay, gotta get the calories. Taste is terrible. Tastes like the inside of a cereal box,
especially if it was chocolate back then. Back
god
in
awful.
Late 90s, early 2000s, chocolate, protein,
Yeah.
ready-made. Forget powder. Don't even discuss powder. But awful.
Yeah. And I would do the barbell bench press, barbell squat, the different classic things. Had decent strength, but I always had an issue with the flat bench. My shoulders, the way I'm built, I have fairly broad shoulders, but I'm not naturally super broad. So leverage wise, and I also have long arms. Right. So that's just two things against me with the bench press. I get to a certain point and I would try to push it, and it just wouldn't work out for me. So it was kind of just there for me to address at a later date, a better way to get stronger that way versus the classic bar lifts. But doing that stuff, you're not doing any cardio. You're just lifting that stuff, and then you're going to the vending machine on the way out and grabbing whatever you have, and you're going to the bus on the way back. Just not the or the next day at lunch, going to the food truck, 2 chili dogs and a can of regular soda, $2.25.
Wow.
Hey, and that was just one meal. So the thing is, not the best, but was working out 2-3 times a week. I realized myself that I needed to introduce some cardio because what wasn't what we thought it was going to be.
Right.
Getting to be 215, even though I'm almost 6 feet tall. So we had to do something about that. So I decided at that time, which was a shift for me, I'm going to get into some running. I'm a baseball player. If it's beyond 90 feet consecutive, going to have a bit of an issue there. But I was able to, over the course of time, get used to running on a treadmill, which was, it was a controlled environment. I wasn't into running outside at that time. I got myself to the point over months where I also adapted a dumbbell routine, and I got into supersetting. So the classic push-pull workouts, opposing muscle 2-3 times a week. And I would run 2-3 times a week. And I got to the point where I could do a 5K. I did one of the old YMCA 5Ks. We completed it, didn't die, as far as I know. And my body transformed. I dropped weight. That was back in 2004, Josh, where I was pretty cut, but I definitely had lost some muscle mass because I was trying to cut calories, trying to watch things, but I kind of didn't watch everything the way I should have. I've been able to maintain a fairly decent body construction, over the past 20 years. It's been difficult at different times, but I morphed. Dumbbells is where I kind of find my niche. Dumbbells work better for me. They build and fix asymmetries. The style of workout, when I know I want to kind of incorporate some anaerobic interval type stuff into my workouts, I just try to go either pyramid sets up, pyramid sets down with different exercises. I try to pair up push-pull movements again. Currently I went to a phase where I wanted to kind of see if I could put on some more strength, more muscle. Right. So I got stronger, but I was putting on some extra weight that I couldn't quite get off. Right. I'm almost 44 now. So it's different. It's all different, 20s, 30s, and now. But what I can do is I can do my research and I can do my science, and I can kind of figure out, okay, what do we need to shift here? So, I went into this. I've been watching a lot of things. This dude, Kyle Newell, I kind of found him online. We'll have him on another episode, but good dude, knows his stuff, very big into fasting. So I had heard about, Joe Rogan went through his 3-day water fast and went to carnivore diet. I listened to a couple audiobooks on the carnivore diet, just kind of all these different things, bringing all this information. I'm like, I'm gonna do my own version of this. So Eric Bischoff, which I love to talk to him about this. I know he does this now, cycles this through each year. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Told my wife, she was on board by the next day, and thought I was kind of crazy. He's like, okay, let me just try this. So did a 3-day water fast. Right. So here we go. 8 p.m. after this time, I'm not eating, but I'll drink water regularly, more consciously, so that I fill my stomach. I'm going to drink electrolytes a couple times a day, make sure I keep those levels. I'll drink black coffee. I'll drink plain tea. I'll drink plain seltzer, right, as I need to. And the first day wasn't bad. I know it sounds weird. Look, I usually eat 6 meals a day. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a change for sure.
This is a Wednesday. I'm usually on a Wednesday. I work a 14-hour day. It's my long day because it's the only day I can work some evening. I would normally eat every like 3 hours. So doing this, you think, oh my God, I'm going to be eating the microphone. I'm going to be eating the desk. I'm going to eat my shoe. It was actually liberating. It was easy. I didn't have to prepare anything. It's easy. It's easy. First 24 hours, no problem. At the 24-hour mark, so 8 o'clock, that was like, let's say Thursday at 8 o'clock, so Friday, 8 o'clock, I felt a bit of a shift. There was no flu, none of this fever type stuff you hear about. If someone is really deep in the sugar, you can get these drastic effects, almost like a flu.
Yeah.
Didn't have that. I just felt like a gear was shifting. I felt like I may get a headache, but I didn't. Almost like a little fog. Drank some electrolytes, water, went to bed, woke up fine. Next day was just more thirsty. So day 2, more thirsty, more paying attention to electrolytes, trying to hydrate more regularly than in the day before. Little hungry by the end of the day, but nothing bad. Third day, I went 70, almost 72 hours. I went about 70 hours. Okay. Did that. And then first meal, I had a little bit of fruit. That was a recommendation. Just eat a little bit of fruit, even though I was going to go into the carnivore diet.
Right.
Some cucumber slices.
Ease your body into it, right?
Light fruit just to kind of get the stomach coated and whatever. And then I believe I had, I probably had 2 pounds of ground beef. It was lovely. With
what
some
kind,
salt.
Like a 90, like what was it?
No, I went with 85-15 because you need the fat. Because remember now, so that shifting I felt the first 24 hours, that's my body going into ketosis.
Right.
Where your body targets the body fat. So when you have a low fat diet and you go into ketosis, there's not much to go from, and your body can start to attack muscle. So usually, if carbs are available, your body goes to carbs, right? They're gone. Your body learns to target the fat stores. If there's not much there, your body starts to target muscle mass. So that's the problem with cutting calories and not watching where things are coming from or your macros to some degree. Right. So anyway, I knew I had to focus going against what I was taught when I was younger. Don't eat fat. You're going to get fat. Blah, 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 blah. Hardest thing, because like you're eating extra fat, you're eating the fat from the beef. Not all of it. You have to drain some off because, right. Good Lord. But going into the carnivore diet. So basically you eat meat, you eat things derived from animals. So you can eat some dairy, but you got to be careful what that is. The biggest thing is you're watching no sugar.
Okay.
No sugar. So in the absence of sugar, your body just changes everything. Also, with the absence of sugar, usually comes the absence of inflammation. The absence of inflammation kind of changes everything, right? So I eat my 3 meals a day. You're eating more nutrient dense food. So you're having a decent amount, but you're still going to lose some weight, right? You're going to shed some excess weight. So long story short, did that. And I was, prepping things. We can get more intricate. If you have any questions regarding specifics, feel free to email me at ptonline@gmail.com. But just to cut through, a month of that, still keto, still carnivore, but I'm doing, staying away from bread, staying away from the refined stuff, introducing some fruits and vegetables. Basically, we're a real food diet now. Days when I exercise, I'll take in some vegetables and fruit. Days when I don't, strictly the carnivore. We're working out great. Dropped 12 pounds. Actually, I have more strength. No dips in energy. So this has been like an exploration because it goes against everything I learned when I was younger, going with the science that's coming from Europe mainly. Now some of it over here.
I like that term, exploration versus journey.
Yeah, you have to do your own. Yeah,
because you can't. Because a journey is one thing, but an exploration, you're going and you're learning as you go, right?
Yeah, you don't know where you're going. A journey, you might have a potential endpoint in mind, I guess. That's probably not a Webster dictionary definition.
No, but we're gonna beat this with a dead horse.
Yeah.
So speaking of horse meat, no.
So anyway, so long story short, I do Spartan races. My thing I do each year, I do the Ultra in Vernon, New Jersey. 32 miles, not straight. It's up in the ski mountains. 70 obstacles. You're trekking. You're basically 82,000 steps. Blah blah blah. It takes 10 hours, whatever. Past 2 years, I've done it. I did it once before, 5 years earlier. I would load properly, scientifically, the way you're supposed to. I researched about 10 different runners, coaches of runners. I research in Europe, research here, and I lined up my routine the week before. as far
Okay.
as my progression of hydration, electrolytes, carb loading, protein, Okay. Had that on point. But starting out would always feel heavy, would always feel like my body was fighting against it the first mile or two. Then you get into a bit of a rhythm and you roll.
Okay.
Since I've been training now with this keto, you think there's no carbs and you're gonna pass out, stroke out, whatever. No, here's the thing. You're hydrating more. You're more attention to that stuff. First mile, you don't have that. What you feel is the muscle fatigue, mile 3, mile 4, mile 5. Well, what you don't have the heaviness. You don't have the inflammational resistance inside your body. So it's been very interesting. So as I work things in, I want to also pay attention to see if anything's inflammatory in my body. Your body sensitivity changes decade to decade too. So if you can find out what works for you and what hinders you, then that's great too. Then you can figure out your focus. I went kind of more of the extreme route, but like I did a fast and then I went into carnivore and then I'm working a little bit more kind of keto, but real food diet.
Right.
This is a carrot. This is a cucumber. I eat it. My body goes, oh, I know what to do with this. Boom. Staying away from processed stuff as best as possible, and just still keeping the sugars almost zero. And that's been huge. It's interesting, and you don't know till you know. But like, there's no dips in energy. You feel like even keel
That's
throughout the day.
great.
It's just it's weird. It's bizarre, and I'm not that kind of a person. I just figure, you know what? Let's do it. Let's try it. And hearing about it. Let's see if it's bull if it's fine.
Hey, and
So far,
so many of these things, it just depends on who the person is and how it works for them, both physically how it works for them, but also mentally how it works for them. So you got to be open to trying these things, you know?
and the big
You have
you
to.
got to be strategic for what you want to do. Now you also have to be realistic. You got to put things in place to get you there. You can't just go from this to CrossFit Athlete of the Year.
Right.
You know, it's a progression. Do something, take notes, figure it out where you're at, then figure out where to go from there. And again, if you need assistance with helping along the way, reach out. But that's my journey, Josh. I know you back in the day, you had your stints with the Body for Life program
I
was a big one for
did.
you.
Body for Life was, I would say, the first time I ever really attempted to get in shape, right? I was in 11th grade and I decided that was I was going to get in shape then. Um, it was the biggest challenge for me with that was the consistency. And that's, I think, for me in my life has always been the most challenging. I'm at a point in my life now where going to the gym is that's just, like tying your shoes. You're right. Like that's just what I have to do now. And a lot of it is mentally for me. That's kind of, I'll joke and say it's my therapy to be able to go to the gym, but you have to have that. My wife, it's doing like a beach body workout, right? Like that's kind of, she prefers that versus actually going to a gym. She likes the videos. For me, the videos go on and I just fall asleep. Like it just doesn't. The video doesn't motivate me. I need to block the world out, get into my own space, right?
Right.
But yeah, Body for Life was really cool. It was a great introduction to weight training to me at that young age because it really was, you had your upper body, your lower body splits. It was one, if I remember correctly, it was one drop set of, let's say you're benching, right? So let's say you're doing a flat bench press and it would be the, 12, 10, 8, 6. I might be off
Yeah.
a little bit, but then it would be like back up to 12 and then you would superset that last one with maybe an incline or a fly or something like that, right? So it was ways to every week start going, okay, so what's a different, okay, I've got two bicep workouts. Okay, so I can do a regular curl, I can do a hammer curl, maybe I'll do a preacher curl. Like, right? So you started learning and researching, it really helped in that regard. But over the years, a lot of it had always been, you mentioned, your past in sports. I wrestled in high school. And then, but I, at a time in my life where there really wasn't much like working out in that. Like, it was like you'd work out, but it wasn't, there was no regimen. There was no, it wasn't like how it is today, for my team at least. Um, but when I got a little older and I was a professional wrestler, that's when I realized, I was a professional wrestler and very small, whereas you had, maybe some size that you didn't care for what led to that size. I didn't have any size. I was just a scrawny, at best, skinny fat, right? So around 2007 is when I got far more serious about if I'm going to be a wrestler, I need to look like a wrestler. It's when I went down to OVW, WWE's then developmental territory. And also for me, I'm 5'8". So for me, wanting to be a pro wrestler, I had this mindset, as many do, of I can't get taller, so I can get bigger, right? Like that's the only thing I can do. I'm 5'8", but it's like, okay, how do you match up with these guys who are 6'5"? Well, I'll just get as big as I possibly can. With doing that, of course, being in my early 20s, I didn't stretch. I didn't take care of myself. Ended up separating my shoulder in a match. I don't think that would have happened had I been looser, had I been, but that was kind of the beginning of the end of my wrestling. I wrestled for another maybe half a year after that. But for me, it's really been this struggle of I've had times where I'm in the best shape of my life and then I get into something else. And for me, dieting has always been very challenging. And I think maybe a lot of our listeners might feel the same way. It's challenging because of just, even though you know what you're supposed to do, you sometimes still don't feel like you know what you're supposed to do, if that makes sense. Right. And like, so for me, I think, I tried the keto diet before. I tried, and the keto diet was successful. I will say it was successful, but for me, I had a really difficult time. At that point for my job, I was on the road a decent amount, and travel with keto was challenging for me. Travel with any diet is challenging. But I just found it was particularly challenging for me to figure out. Part of it also is that I'm pescatarian. So I stopped eating meat a couple of years ago. My wife does all the cooking and she doesn't eat meat. So, hold that in there. And, so she was,
not touching that one, dude. I'm gonna drink my electrolyte over here. Last week.
She doesn't eat meat, so then I don't eat meat, right? Like that's the thing. She said to me very early on, if you want to grill some chicken breasts, you want to make whatever you want to make, that's on you. I'm not going to tell you can't have meat just because, I'm pescatarian. I only eat fish and I only eat, vegetables and, obviously eggs and yogurt and all stuff like that. And I remember grilling while she's like making delicious food and all, and I just quickly was like, yeah, I'm just gonna eat the delicious food, not the clean grilled chicken breast, And it's so you go through challenging times, but she and I also differ in there's part of me that I like the ability to kind of be a robot with this stuff and have a plan where it's like, I can say if someone's just like, okay, you're going to have some white rice here, you're going to have this fish, you're going to have this vegetable with it. I can just be like, great. And I can probably eat the same thing for the next like 6 weeks and then maybe change it up. She is someone who I always joke with her that she makes lunch and it's like she's presenting it on like the Food Network or something to make herself lunch. For me, I'm lucky if I even looked at the food before I ate it. So, that's the thing. Everybody has their different journey, their different ways of doing things that work for them,
Hey, reach out. Tell us about your journey, where you're at, ups and downs, pits, valleys. Look, we're real people. We've been there. We've been on our own, side journeys and detours and plenty. But reach out. Look, we're real people. I hopefully have real answers that I can help you. But the only way I can do that is know your situation, know where you've been, know where you're at now, and what you want to do. So at ptunlocked@gmail.com and across all socials, reach out to us.
Yep. Everybody's got a story, right? Everybody's got their challenges. Everybody's got the success stories. We said this last week. We want to know what's challenging you, and we want to know about the success as well. So again, at PT Unlocked across the board on social media. Feel free to reach out. Reach out on directly to Matt, ptunlocked@gmail.com. He'll answer all your questions. Send some questions. You have questions that you want to share with the class. Send them in here. And, we're going to do, I think coming up soon, we're going to be doing kind of a Q&A one. So, but until then, Hey, thanks everyone for joining us here at Personal Training Unlocked with Matt Mangol.
So don't stop believing. Just keep on lifting.
Journey.
See what I did there?
Journey.